Okay, so let's finish up this scene by putting in a night sky back here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lock all my layers, create a new layer, and drag it all the way to the back or the bottom of the stack and call it night sky. Why not? And let's go ahead and get rid of all these things and just zoom in and get started. So if we think of a night sky, just to do a little bit of research, which is always a good thing, you look up some images. And while some of these are really photoshopped and not realistic at all, one thing you'll notice is that it tends to be lighter at the edge of the earth and darker as we move up to the night sky, to the center of the sky. Oh, and the moon has this nice glow on it. I will definitely create a moon, but for this portion we're just going to create this night sky. And while this is really cool stuff, bringing in images this big will probably just slow down our animation, but just to get a good idea of kind of what we're trying to do. So I'm going to make my own night sky using first the rectangle tool. Let's go ahead and get rid of the stroke and let's choose a nice night sky color. And keep in mind that we've been using a lot of blue, so a contrasting color to the blue we've been using. Come over here to the reds, and you might be saying, well, red as the night sky? We could just try it, I think. See how it works out. Make my rectangle, and I'm going to make a gradient, a radial gradient, and I'm going to start with the dark red and take a swatch of this color. Let's edit it a little bit. Maybe this one can go down into the purples, a little bit lighter. And let's try it out. It's very subtle, but it could be very cool. I'll use F, my gradient transform tool. Also, you can find it by going to free transform tool and holding down and selecting that. And I'm going to increase the size of the radius. Again, this is just an example that I'm creating and doesn't have to be a reflection of yours at all. You can make it in the middle of the day. It doesn't really matter. I just wanted to make this kind of artsy and flow well with contrasting colors and making it all believable. Okay, so I'm actually going to make one more color in here, and it's going to be lighter. It's going to be just lighter. Oh, I should have it selected before I do that. And just make it a little bit lighter. And bring everything in. Okay, something like that. But I'm not done yet. Next thing, after saving, I want to create some stars. And the quickest way to create stars is a combination of tools. But first, let's go ahead and create our first star. So if I go over to where you might find your rectangle tool or your oval tool and hold down, I can come all the way down to the bottom and choose this Polystar tool. And going over to the properties menu, I can see that there is a button under tool settings. If you don't see it, it might be because this arrow needs to be clicked. And I click options, I get this tool settings option. And I can choose the style of star. And so there's a polygon and now star. Number of sides, star point size. Okay, let's see what that looks like. Looks like a perfect star to me. Already it's using the gradient that we have already made. So let's choose a different color for it. Let's get a solid color, and contrasting to what we already have up there. So something like this green color, and like click in. One thing you might notice is if I click and bring this star on here, while it looks good, if I click to move it, I have a hole there because it was on the same layer. So I'm going to backstep a couple times. So before I bring it onto the stage, I definitely want to have my arrangement made. And so what I'm going to do is just that. I'm going to create an arrangement of stars, symbolize them, and I'll show you another trick. So first, let's go ahead and make some stars by going back to my Polystar and just making, and I can rotate these as I create them. Some big ones, some smaller ones, some teeny tiny ones. And don't cluster them too close together. Make sure you give yourself some rogue ones out here, just to, when we make this pattern, it's not so consistent. Alright, and this one might be a little bit too big, so I'm going to click it with my free transform tool and just shrink it just ever so much. And with the selection tool, I'm going to select all of them and hit F8, create a graphic symbol with a registration of center, and call these stars. Okay, so I can delete that for now, and I will go and click and hold on the brush tool and use the spray brush tool. Now, the spray brush tool is pretty cool, and it makes a bunch of shapes, and you can change how close they are. Just like any sort of spray brush, you can change the scale, whatever you're making, so you have bigger bigger shapes. You can click the random scaling, and now you'll have all different kinds of shapes. And you can even change the width and height of your spray, so you spray a bigger spray or a more condensed spray. Well, I back out of all these sprays. The really cool thing about the spray brush tool, get it back, is that I can assign a symbol to it by going over here to spray. Right now it says default shape. If I click edit, I can pick between the symbols I have. And I definitely want to pick the star. And right away you'll see, wow, that looks terrible. We might have to do some adjustments. So let's pick it again. And we definitely want our brush much bigger. Even bigger than that. So I'm just going to keep scrubbing these to about almost as far as they go, and click once. Still too much, and it's doing something over here, so it's rotating my symbol. I don't want that, and I don't want random scaling. See what that does. So it might take a little bit to get these to be exactly like you want them. I suggest your scale and width be the same so the image doesn't get all warped. There we go. It's getting closer, but there's still too much going on. So how high can this go? 800? Okay, closer, but I still want, okay, now I'm going to do random rotation and random scaling. See what that does. I can make these a little bit bigger then. While this method won't always be perfect, it's going to be a lot easier than making a bunch of stars. Ooh. It's really difficult not to spray too much. Just want one spray of stars. Remember, all of these aren't even going to be seen, so still a little bit too big. Go back to 50. Alright, let's see. You know, that's not too bad. I'm good with that. I'm very okay with that. I'm going to lock it and click save. And now we have a starry background. We have all our animation. If I hit play or export as SWF, this is what it's going to look like. Pretty sweet, huh? Alright, so that's our moving background. All the hard work paying off. In the next following videos, we will be making an introduction into this portion of the video and a closing, adding a replay button, importing sound, playing with a little bit of code, and learning how to export this onto QuickTime format or any other movie format so you can share it with your friends and family. Alright, so I will see you in class.